Hey, what's up, everybody? Trey Griggs here with Beta Consulting Group. Very excited to be here on this Friday for episode 102 of The Word on the Street, powered by Beta Consulting Group. And shout out to our sponsor, greenscreens.ai. So excited to have them on board. Listen, they're changing the game when it comes to dynamic pricing in the transportation logistics industry. So super excited to have them on board. Make sure you go to greenscreens.ai to learn more and get started with them, and tell them that Trey sent you. All right, well, it's a great day today. It's a Finish Strong Friday, of course. So whatever you're doing today, make sure you finish strong. Before we get into too much today, though, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. First of all, if you like to work out and you like to get your week start off right and you like to hear some good commentary, make sure you join us on Monday mornings at 6 a.m. Central for Iron Minds. That's between Hayden Allred, my good friend, and myself. And we'll be doing a little workout at home. You can join us. Very simple stuff that you can do around your house. If you have some weights, it helps out, but you don't have to. We do some calisthenics, some push-ups, a lot of body weight movements. But we also talk about getting your mind right, getting prepped for a solid week, things we're learning, things about leadership, and just great discussion. So be sure to check us out on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, or Twitter at 6 a.m. on Central for Iron Minds. Episode 3 coming up. Very excited about that. And everybody, listen, we got some news today. We have a new sponsor and a company that I've joined as a brand ambassador. Very excited about this. They're going to be helping me on a lot of my podcasts and helping me with some other marketing aspects as well. And I'm going to be bringing some awareness to them in the industry, particularly in how freight brokers can work with them to benefit their carriers. So very excited to announce that today, my new sponsor comes from Kansas City. It is TAFS Financial Services. TAFS Financial Services out of Kansas City. They are changing the game when it comes to factoring and financial services for carriers, truly educating their carriers on the best practices to grow their business. And my good friends over there, JJ and Matt and Murray, great people over there. And so very excited to be partnering with them, and excited to share how freight brokers can take advantage of that as well to bring great resources to their carriers. All right, folks. So we are going to go ahead and jump into today's show. Got to bring the street crew on one at a time, as always, as we do. I finally got to meet this guy in person for the first time. I couldn't believe it. I've known this guy for like 2 years. Haven't had a chance to really spend too much time with him, but please welcome to the show my good friend, Coleman Ruffin.
Are you working? What kind of work do you do?
Hey, love this song. Great way to kick off Friday, going to lunch, and it was a pleasure to finally get to meet you in person. It was way overdue, my friend.
Dude, that song is fire, man. I absolutely love that song. And man, it was great. Like getting actually finally seeing you at TIA. You're much taller than you look on camera, I will admit. I got a picture later in the show to show that. But yeah, definitely a little taller than I thought you'd be, and I'm not very excited about that. I'm not gonna lie. It just keeps reminding me that I'm so stinking short. It's just ridiculous. All right, okay, everybody, listen. So this lady has been off the show for a couple weeks because she's working hard, growing her company, a family-owned brokerage that's just killing it over at Zen Freight Solutions. Everybody, give it up for my good friend Raquel Packets.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday.
There's something about this song that just makes me smile. I don't know
what
it is. I'm gonna go watch Smokey and the Bandit after this every show that you're on, which is pretty much the way to do it. But how are you doing? How's things in Butler, PA? You doing well?
Doing good. I let the team go early today because things got quiet. So it's a great day.
And you guys are killing it over there. Things are going really well. I'm so excited. The special delivery, heavy haul, specialized type freight market. We'll talk about it more on the show. But glad you guys are doing great. It's awesome. Awesome to see. And thanks for being back on the show, man. It's good to see you again.
Yes.
All right. Got to see this person at TIA again. I'll tell you what I love about this guy is that if I literally say, hey, you need to be here, he's on the next flight. And it happened again. So got to see him out in Las Vegas at TA, and just love spending time with this guy. Give it up for our good friend, Meshach Weber.
Hello, everyone.
You have the calmest walk-up music of everybody, but it really does. It really fits. I get it. Totally.
I mean, it's also great because now we're moving on from the rap. We're getting a lot more diverse type of walk-up music in this crew right now, which is great.
That's the truth. We're definitely getting a little bit more diversity when it comes to that. So, all right, next on the show, coming to us from Chicago, Illinois, not too far away from us, my good friend up there at BWS Logistics, Rob Bussey, y'all.
That's the magic bus right there.
That's right. So
that's back from my DJ days in college. That was my intro.
Wait, hold on. You were a DJ?
I was a DJ.
Whoa, are you serious? Okay, listen, I was a DJ.
WLRA 88.1 FM to the left of your dial.
So listen to that voice. Listen to that voice. You got the radio voice. So you were a DJ on the radio.
I was.
I like it. So I was a DJ at parties. I was a DJ on the radio.
It wasn't that good to do that. You have to be better to do that.
No, see, I think it was easier at the parties. I'll tell you why. But I had a show on Saturday mornings in college for 2 hours. I was a DJ there, and I always played the songs that I knew that the girls in Ely liked to hear. It's kind of my way of doing that. And my wife was one of the people in that building, and I knew what her song was. It was by a band called Nouveau. I played every Saturday. But here's what I think is easier: being a DJ at a party, because they kind of tell you what songs they want to hear, and you just play them. Like, there's not a lot of talking involved. People are just dancing, having a good time. Like, it's the easiest $250, $300 I made at that time of my life. And
it's always the same songs over and over again.
It is. It's Celebration by Kool and the Gang every time, right? Yep. It's the same songs, but everybody loves the DJ.
It's even easier now with the digital platforms. It's
ridiculous. Anybody can be a DJ.
I mean, you could do it. You could literally do it with your iPhone.
Exactly. You just buy a few speakers and you're absolutely in, which is great. So
I did 99 and a half WLOL Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Jeez.
We've all got a little bit of, I love it. So I was 99.1 KWJC Kansas City. That was
we were dance radio in college.
You never forget your call sign if your call signals if you've been in radio, that's for sure. So all right, next to the show. Listen, this guy didn't send me his walk-up music, so I'm just gonna create one for him, but I'm so excited to have him back on the show. This guy's so busy. He's doing all kinds of crazy good things, growing like crazy. Had the chance to share the stage with this guy at TIA. Everybody get it up for my good boy, my good friend, Chris Jolly.
Yay!
Oh, boy.
I was really hoping you were going to drop Dancing Queen. I'm not gonna lie.
That would have been money.
I know. But I didn't have it ready, but I did have this one. And since Chris Jolly has just made it so big now, I mean, he made the big stage at TIA, folks. He called it 2 years ago, everybody. He said, I'm going to be on the main stage at TIA. He also said Freight Waves were working on that one, but he did it. It was so cool to be on that stage and to see you up there, bro. I got to tell you, like, when I was up there, I kind of almost stopped listening to you. I was just so proud. But I knew I had to talk at some point when you were done. But it was such a cool moment, man.
Yeah, he won't even return my calls now, so he's big.
That's a lie, Rob. I replied to your text almost instantly when you texted me.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding you, man.
We
all love you, and we all are so happy for what's going on for you. So.
I appreciate
Congrats.
it. I appreciate you guys. I mean, congrats to Trey. Look at this. I see some logos at the bottom of there.
Yeah, buddy.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Made an announcement today that TAPS is one of our new sponsors. Very excited about that. What I love about TAPS is that they are changing the game in the factoring industry, because factoring sometimes gets a bad rep. They're really trying to educate drivers to make sure they know what they're getting into and have the resources to grow, especially in tough times, especially as things start to shift a little bit. So I love working with those guys. JJ Heredia and Matt Ann, some of my good friends, Murray Dressler, just really good people. I'm very excited to partner with them. And they're good for freight brokers too, because they offer referral partnerships. So freight brokers can offer these great services to carriers as well and help them out. And so, especially for owner operators, anybody that has less than 10 trucks, that's a really big thing for cash flow and things like that. So now it's cool, man. Thanks, man. Awesome to have you, bud. Thanks for joining us today. All right, guys, I don't know if you noticed or not, but we are 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from the Word on the Street Tough Mudder Charity Challenge. I'm getting nervous for a couple things. First of all, I hope you guys show up. Second of all, I hope I can make it 9 miles and 30 obstacles. But the guy who's really been behind the scenes, putting all this together, been so helpful in all this, my good friend from Madsen Logistics. Everybody give it up for Greg Roberts.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
I love a little Nirvana in my life. Love a little Nirvana in my life.
I feel like I got to get a new walk-up song though, because it's a little slow, a little mellow, like.
But it's who you are, right? I mean, it's okay. Like it's who you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, but no, it's good. How are you doing, buddy? Are you ready for this thing? Are we gonna rock this or what?
Oh, I'm ready for it. I think it'll be interesting to go through. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to get to meet, because I know Jeff Combs. I've never met him before outside of Zoom and things like that. So I'm excited to meet him and get a chance to see him in person.
He's so humble, just a neat dude, and he just wants to help people. You're gonna love it. I can't wait. Raquel and John are coming in. Hayden's coming in. Diana's coming in. So we'll see what the crew size actually looks like. Unfortunately, Raquel with that ankle, that's a bummer.
I know.
But we need all the cheers, and you need to drink all the wine you can. So it's gonna be fun.
I'll be there and cheering everyone on for sure.
That's right. It's gonna be great. All right, everybody, listen. It's time to bring on our special guest for the show for episode 102. Had the chance to meet this person about a month and a half ago through Kyle McNutt, I believe, connecting us, if I remember correctly, McNasty, McNuts, whatever you want to call him here from the show. Had a chance to meet this woman who is really on a mission to revive an organization that really needs to be at the forefront of transportation and logistics. And so very excited to welcome to the show today my good friend Jennifer Karpus-Romain from the TMSA Executive Director. Welcome to the show. What's up?
Hey.
Hello. Hello.
She's ghetto too. Yeah.
I am. Yeah. It just makes me happy and like gets me ready to go.
I love it.
So, I love Macklemore for two reasons. One, his music's just good. I mean, his music's really good. So that's number one. But number two, he loves to play golf. And so, I feel like we could be friends. I feel like we live in the same city. Maybe we could be friends. Maybe we could play some golf, and that would be really fun. So anyways, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you guys for having me on and for all of you guys being here. This is fun. There's so many people to talk to.
Yeah, welcome to the show. And there's space for two more out there. I don't know who else is coming, but we got space for two more. We'll see who jumps in later, and that'll be great. But it's great to have you on the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then tell everybody how you ended up as the executive director at TMSA.
Sure. So I have started my career in journalism, but always really was in the B2B space. Like always thought I would want to write for the New York Times, but very quickly graduated out of that dream and just really found a home in reading about manufacturing, transportation, and writing in that space. So then when I switched kind of from journalism into marketing, that still was my niche. I'm also married to an engineer, so it's fun to bounce ideas. We're very, very different people. So it's always funny that we kind of overlap more in the professional world than we thought we would. But and then I started working in the tech space and selling kind of CRM, CX type things into transportation. And that's really where I came into TMSA. So it's been a fun ride because I took on the association in the executive director role very end of last year, overlapped a couple months with the previous management company, and then really full start go in January to start to really push things forward. But I started with the association as an affiliate member about 5 years ago and really just fell in love with the concept, which is it's the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association. So I always kind of laughed because it's right in the name what it is. We really target our educational opportunities, networking, events. Everything is geared towards the people in the sales and marketing roles inside transportation and logistics. And the reason why this is so important, which I'm sure so many people know, is that if you're working in a sales or marketing role inside transportation and logistics, chances are you don't have this huge team with you that can just execute all of this work with you. So where are these professionals going to network, to bounce ideas off of each other, to brainstorm? Where's that space for them to all come together? And that's really what we try to be. We're a trade nonprofit fully dedicated to providing the best content, the best education at events, and then really working to upgrade some of these things so that we take the very best of what TMSA has been and really modernize it for the future. I think we've all kind of taken a step back and thought about how is our technology working? How are we doing the best for our customers or for me, the members? How can we move everything forward? So really just working very hard and diligently to put the best foot forward for us. And it's kind of fun. It's weird to think about because TMSA in some iteration, like it had a lot of different names, but it actually started in 1924. So that's 98 years ago, which is kind of like what were I would love to know in those early days, like what they were chatting about and how clearly
driver shortages and rates. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
And
through
so
the newspaper articles and ads.
So it's
like
just
that.
kind of so funny to see the evolution. And I think we're in this huge step of turning the next page for what this association can be.
Yeah, without a doubt. And by the way, for those of you who are on the show and as well as those on LinkedIn, if you go to the show notes, you'll see that there are some polls today. There's one about marketing. So I'd love for you guys to take that one. It's actually the last one, the first one, I think, in the show notes today the marketing poll. So go ahead and take that real quick while we actually make an announcement. So Jennifer, there's some big news coming up. First of all, we already know that Blythe Brumleve, our good friend, who occasionally comes on the show to talk about how bad the Jaguars are. We know that she's going to be at TMSA at the event coming up in June, the Level Up event, which is June. Tell everybody the dates again.
It's June 5th through 7th at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando.
Excellent. We also know that Chris Jolly is going to be taking the stage. He's going to be speaking. Watch out, everybody.
That's right.
So, we'll see how that goes. But we got some news today. So do you want to make a quick announcement to everybody?
So we are very excited to announce that Trey Griggs is also going to be our MC at the show. Yay!
Oh, there we go.
That's what I'm talking about, everybody.
Yay!
Let's go.
Oh,
Wait,
that's
is
so fun.
Is this
I'm
the
so happy
is
for
this
you.
the co-MC thing you did, or is this a different one?
Dancing Queen should have been
The co-MC thing? What are you talking
Didn't you
about,
do
Rob?
didn't you guys do an event where you announced that you were the MC and then someone else jumped in?
Oh,
And
yes.
no,
yes.
I'm the MC.
So that was actually TIA. So that was a
Okay.
little fun promo that we did with Enrique.
Yeah, that was
and
funny.
Mike Riccio.
But you're
By the way,
you're getting a solo gig now. That's good.
so now I get a solo gig. It'll be kind of fun. So, and I get to announce Chris Jolly on the stage, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but there's going to be something around that that's going to be fun. It's not going to be a standard introduction, is all I'm going to say.
Jennifer,
right.
we'll talk offline about it.
Well, and I was going to say too, for those that don't know, Trey actually has the bouncing capabilities. He was a bouncer at one of the events at TIA, where if anybody got rowdy, it was his job to kick them out. So.
I don't think Trey's going to bounce me anywhere. But.
So, all right.
No,
Okay.
not at our show. No, sir.
I gotta explain this. Okay, so at TIA, they want to have people in the sessions in case people break the antitrust laws and kind of like either get it back online or remove people from the episode. We were on the education committee the program committee talking about this, and I said, hey, just put me wherever you need me. I'm there to help out for this weekend, whatever. So they put me in this role of bouncer. I'm like, I don't think that person has ever seen me before. I mean, I'm the smallest guy in the room. How am I going to move anybody out of that room, right? So it's kind of comical that I was in the back, like trying to keep things straight. But people look at me like they look at a fifth grader, like, okay, whatever, okay, kid,
It was
whatever.
really weird. I didn't know how he got a flashlight so fast. He had flashlight and a key ring. Like
I
it was
did.
very
That's
odd.
true. Listen, hey, one of my favorite movies is Night at the Museum,
Roadhouse?
right?
Oh.
Nope, Night at the Museum. And I'm I'm not a Ben Affleck fan, but a Ben Stiller fan. Sometimes I even make his facial expressions. I did when I was a teacher. I got that a lot from my students. I thought I was like Ben Affleck back in his Meet the Parents days. But I'm a big fan, so I bring it with me, Chris. I got to be prepared, man. I can't, I get called into action. I got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Were you more of a Zoolander, only one look?
Can't turn
Blue
left.
steel.
Exactly.
Can't turn left. That's right. Okay, so the event's coming up, Jennifer. It's in June. It's in Orlando. And tell everybody real quick, why should they consider signing up? Why should they go right now to the registration page and sign up for this event?
So the registration link is events.tmsatoday.org if you are interested in looking it up as we chat. But really, the theme is level up, because that's what we're all trying to do. Coming out of COVID or wherever we are with that, but really just assessing that now people are looking at the supply chain like never before. And we know what's been working and what's not working, but we're still trying to improve and to get better. And so we are, the whole theme of the show is how to do that. So we have some great speakers that will be coming, and then also headliner speakers that come on the main stage. And then we have some great breakouts that really divide things up for sales and marketers. It's just really exciting, our events or our speakers, and locking in all those sessions. And we'll get finish that up this week to get that up on the site. But I'm just so excited. The energy that's coming off of the speakers and the education committee, it's just energy that I haven't felt in a long time. So how do you want to level up? How do you want to get better? And then the networking too. That's a big piece of who we are, is really finding those people that are in similar roles to yours, but also the people that might be on the other side. So I'm a really big believer that sales and marketing should be aligned, and we should better understand what that other side is doing, because that's going to have the best output. Like my favorite things to do when I was in marketing is to go on sales calls and to be a fly on the wall, or to really meet one-on-one with my sales director and ask them, well, like, is this collateral I'm making for you even doing anything? Because sometimes we're free to ask that question, but it's a really important one to know the answer to. So I think it's really cool to see more of those people who are bringing a sales and a marketing person from the same team. Like that's really great, but also just having that other side, people you can talk to. One of the biggest things that we do at the show, or the most successful, is our lunch roundtables, which are working lunches, which normally people don't like because you're like, that's the one time I don't have to be doing anything. But what we do is we pick trending topics, and you can pick which topic you want to sit at. And it's literally a table of people that want to sit and talk about the same thing that's been keeping you up at night. And
cool.
there isn't this like guarded feeling. Like that's really when I came into TMSA, I was like, wow, this is really welcoming, and people are actually talking and not just avoiding questions, which you get sometimes when you go to events like that. But it's like everyone knows that we're having to talk about recruiting and retention. Like that's not a secret for anybody, but how you're doing that and maybe what the next step is for that, or trying something new, that's really what is valuable. And so that's always a really, really big hit at the show.
Yeah, I love that. And the coming out of the pandemic, we're having to do sales differently. We're having to manage sales differently. We're having to do marketing differently and communicate differently. There's new technologies now that we're using that maybe we hadn't even thought of before. And for people, especially who are single, lone wolf marketers or a sales leader who's also doing marketing, coming to this conference is a great opportunity to learn about those technologies, talk to other people about what they're using. I mean, I use several applications because of just like talking to Chris or talking to Mishak, and they're telling me about things that they're using. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll look into that. And so being around other marketers, other sales professionals is really huge. So I'm excited. I hope that a lot of people sign up. We put we got the ticker in there now. So go to events.tmsatoday.org and check it out. Sign up today. It's going to be an awesome event. And Orlando in June won't be too bad. Won't be too hot. It'll be fun. I think isn't there a family day on Saturday to start the whole thing? Is that right?
Yes. So if you come in a day early, we're having a family day at the pool at the Gaylord, which I will say they have a really big water slide, which I swear my son saw a photo of it when I was doing the site visits. He's like, Mommy, that one, that's where your event should be. He doesn't really fully understand conferences, but so he's pretty excited for the water slide and has asked me repeatedly when we'll be going. I'm like, in due time, it will be soon enough.
That's right.
But we'll do that. And then the other really cool thing that we're doing is we're actually having Dr. Mark Manera come, who he's a physical therapist who's dedicated himself to helping truckers live more fit lives. And he's coming and he's going to do fitness classes on Monday and Tuesday mornings for our group live on the lawn in Orlando at the Palms. And I'm so excited because that's the type of energy and excitement, and just, going to these conferences can be kind of hard, especially after COVID, when we barely leave our houses, to have to engage in person that long. It's kind of good to get some energy out.
So good.
Before
I think Chris, you'd probably echo and Coleman this, like the energy was so good at CIA. I think everybody's ready for it. They want to do this.
People have been itching for stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, let's look at the poll real quick. We got 6 responses. We're going to look at this and see what we think. All right, in general, how do transportation companies view marketing? This was actually a hard poll for me to write, and the questions probably stink. So, the peanut gallery, pipe down if you don't like the questions. All right, so in general, how do they do it? The majority of us think that it's good to have, but not required. And I think that's true. That's what I put. One put absolutely critical to success. I think it's very rare to find a company. There's some out there like Freightvana. Chris, you and I know this. There's companies like Freightvana that they value marketing above almost just about everything else in terms of their approach. But man, a lot of companies don't. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because people, and marketing is a little bit more obscure than what sales does. Sales, you can measure it a lot easier. And so when you look at marketing, while it is very important and critical, it really doesn't have that. This is a KPI I can put there that we know turns into revenue that has this amount of margin associated with it. So it's difficult to measure. I think that's kind of the key factor.
Yeah. Direct association is very critical, or very difficult, I should say. But you can do a little bit with technology, but you're right, because you think about it from a marketing perspective, it might take somebody 4 or 5 times of seeing your brand, hearing your message, and they might see the first one on LinkedIn, then they hear a podcast, and then they see a white paper that you put out, and then they go to your website, and then they click because they want a demo, but there's 4 pieces there that got them there. And how do you really associate how it worked? But the truth is, like, I think if you do the things right in marketing and you're engaging with people and you're seeing, then you know it's working. But it's a long strategy. It takes 6 to 12 months to really build out a really good marketing playbook. Or Mishak, what do you think about that? How long does it take for people to really start to see some returns that they can address to marketing initiatives specifically?
Well, I mean, that's one of the biggest questions, and what I've found is it really depends on where the company is. Like, I've come into companies that have been around since 1995, and we're in 112 countries. And I did like one project, and I increased their software downloads 300% and their inbound sales calls 600% within a month. But that's kind of a magic place where you're just optimizing, and I use a behavioral approach that kind of moves the needle sometimes really fast. But most of the time, if it is something that you're just kind of getting off the ground, if you're trying to create a more mature marketing department or at least presence, it really, I mean, that 6 to 12 months where you start to see traction. 18 months is where you get that magic place where, I've helped, brands like XRS become a top brand. And it took 18 months to become like one of the top brands with the X Nation social channel. I don't know if you remember that a few years back. And that was, So, I mean, I think your 6 to 12 months is where you see that traction if you do a really good platform. And then 18 months where you could create a strong voice of authority and be one of the top.
And let's be honest, how many business owners are willing to invest for 6, 12, 18 months to actually see that type of return, even though it's incredibly critical? If you have a 5-year plan, 6 months is not that long. So if you're only thinking short term, then it's hard to make sense of it. But if you're really thinking, hey, we want to build a brand and a name and a culture and identity for our prospects and our customers, then it makes a whole lot of sense. Mishak, I want to come back to you on a question, but we do have another guy in the green room, everybody. Our boy McNuts is in the house. Everybody give it up for Kyle McNuts. Maybe. Is Kyle in the show?
False start.
There he is. I got him. All right, Kyle. What's up, man? How are you, buddy? It's been too long, man. Been too long. Are you with us? Do we have your audio, or do we?
The
video editor struggling with AV.
Shut your faces.
Kyle, try to restart if you need to.
Yeah, restart.
Oh, thanks a lot, Greg.
Unplug and plug it back in. That always works.
I'm sorry, I'm on a more sophisticated platform than every one of your Windows PCs over here. I'm using something that's a little complicated. Only Chris Jolly would understand what I'm doing.
I probably wouldn't, but I appreciate it.
Chris Jolly's camera, Chris Jolly's camera looked like somebody's peering through the window at him.
It is. I was in the studio last week, and it is. It's not close up. I'm going to say it's not close up.
It's very voyeuristic.
You got to get
futuristic. I'm futuristic. No, I'm just kidding.
Good lighting, though. Good lighting.
So, Kyle, let me just say something real quick. The greatest professionals in any industry make the difficult seem simple. I'm just going to say that. All right, shortstop makes a tough play look easy, bro. So if you can't
miss every shot you don't take, settle down. I've watched every. All
right. Okay, back to Mishak. Okay, so Mishak, I want to get back to this. And by the way, Jennifer, we should definitely get Mishak down to the TMSA and have him speak. The guy is just so smart about this type of stuff. But Mishak, I want you to talk a little bit about something that you specialize in when it comes to marketing, and that is like emotional marketing and some of the more psychological marketing that you do. That's a little different than maybe the standard marketing approach. Talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to jump back into the poll.
Well, thank you for the kind compliment. And I would add one thing to what you just said about it's hard for companies to do it. That'll change the more companies that do that. I've seen it in other industries, and the transportation tech sector, which I've worked with for 12 years, they're getting really smart about that because they're seeing other successes, and they're seeing more and more how you can measure. So I think that will change. And the early adopters right now are the ones that are going to have like the fast horse lead, and it's going to be hard to ever catch up with them. But to answer your question, I mean, essentially there's coming out of positive psychology and what some people call behavioral economics. There's a new kind of understanding of how we learn, how we make decisions, how we act, and how we create new habits. And the best way I can show this as an example is how many people are seeing how the world is changing because of Facebook and Instagram and the like. Well, a lot of that came out of Stanford, the labs out of there with BJ Fogg, which he taught what people call the Facebook class. And basically there's ways that you can harness this new science of influence and positive psychology to not just cut through the noise, but to not just help accelerate sales cycles, shorten sales cycles, but also to create stronger affinity and actually create habits. And a lot of companies, what is a sale? From a psychological perspective, it's a habit. What is, a return customer? What is somebody who comes back to your website? As Nir Rao talks about using hooked, where people keep getting hooked and come back again. Those are all habits. So when you think about it, a lot of things that we're trying to achieve in a company are habits. And so understanding the science of habits can make it a lot easier and a lot faster, and actually make it a lot more measurable and less kind of just like, is it this pretty picture or this pretty picture? Well, if you look at the science, you can actually say this one's better.
I love that. And some people who know me would say that I have a Chick-fil-A habit. They have definitely done the job. Some would say my wife has a Kohl's habit, and they're both really good at return customers. I don't know if you guys have the same addictions and issues as we have, but definitely habits in terms of buying.
No, Chick-fil-A is money.
Chick-fil-A is money. It's
so good.
It's so good. It's just, I don't know what they're making. I think they're making it with crack cocaine. It's just so good. I don't know what the deal is. All right.
I wouldn't even care, honestly.
It just even matter.
I still could.
All right. Okay. Moving on. Question 2, which social media platforms does your company use to market? So most of you are using LinkedIn. Of course, that's very business friendly. 5 using Facebook, 4 Twitter, 5 Instagram, only 2 on TikTok. Raquel, shout out. Raquel on TikTok. Chris Jolly also on TikTok. And 3 on YouTube, and then others 0 in that regard. It's interesting. I think this is an interesting dynamic, because as social media platforms evolve, they tend to become a little bit more businessy in nature. Facebook kind of became that way. Twitter's now very much, I feel like, a business and politics platform more than about anything else. And now we're seeing TikTok and Instagram kind of follow that suit, even though it's very much personal and pictures and videos. It's becoming more business oriented. And the truth is, the people that you're trying to sell to from 8 to 5 are laying in bed at 10:30 scrolling through TikTok. They're laying on the couch at 9 o'clock looking through Instagram. So not being on those platforms in some fashion or form to connect with those people, I think, is a huge miss. What I do think is true is that this is where I think CEOs and salespeople need to be more involved from a personal standpoint, just to make those connections. Because if you're just putting business ads on TikTok, scroll. But if your CEO says something valuable, then you might stay and watch it. So learning how to use TikTok and Instagram and some of these other platforms to promote your message and to create that, as you called it, Mishak, kind of that addiction or that habit, that customer awareness of who you are and building that trust and emotional connection. I think it's critical for companies to jump on board. What do you guys think?
100%. You have to understand who you're selling to or trying to build that brand around. And I love what Mishak said is it all comes down to human habits, right? You have to follow where people are going to, whether it is that new trend in TikTok, new trend in Instagram, something along those lines to reach your audience. Yeah, it's great to be on one type of social platform, business professional like LinkedIn, but exactly like you said, outside of those normal business hours, I would be willing to bet that the majority of people aren't necessarily scrolling through LinkedIn as their first go-to of, hey, this is where I'm getting my content. They're going to be on these other types of platforms.
Maybe Chris Jolly.
Incredibly.
I don't know.
Maybe Chris Jolly. Yeah, but he's an outlier there on that one.
No, I think you're right. And it's interesting. Like, how many of you, you end your day or you spend maybe part of your evening maybe decompressing on social media? Just to raise their hands. How many people do that? Most of us, right? Most of us do. Greg will be the lone outlier. Greg, I don't know. You're like making derby cars. I don't know what you're doing, but you're not on social media, right? What do you do at night to decompress? Are you a reader? Are you sit around and talk to people?
I don't know. I do most of my decompression throughout the
silent
day.
In a dark room.
little bit of that, some crying. I prep for the next day so I have less stress the next day. That's what I do.
It's all that.
Well, what a healthy habit you have.
Routine helps.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Coleman. I think that's where people are, and you need to go where those people are and just understand what they're doing. There's different messages for different platforms, but if your CEO says something, or if your sales team is doing something goofy on the sales floor, having fun, I mean, hit record and throw that on TikTok or Instagram and just start to create a message just around the culture of the company and what you're doing. There's just so many things you can do with the social media platforms.
But if you're doing that, if you're just putting like fun, goofy stuff, no, you're doing it for culture. Like, you aren't doing it for sales. Like, that is to showcase your culture, showcase what possible new talent, how you're going to do talent acquisition. you got to think, like Coleman mentioned, think about who your audience is and why you're purposely doing stuff. You can't just randomly show the TikTok floor or show your sales floor and be like, oh, cool, look how fun we are. And then the next video is for like your consumers or your possible prospects. Like you got to think harder. And that's honestly why a lot of people don't care, why it's a lack of priorities, because it isn't a simple, cool, I did this and now money's please. It is, you got to think hard about this type of stuff. And you got to be creative, which business hates being creative. They just kind of want to copy whoever they can. So like, don't get it twisted. Your personal TikTok, you, Trey, running in your gym basement, doing burpees that you don't even fully extend. So really, is it a burpee?
Busted.
You, Trey. That's not going to get you new clients. That's not going to get you nothing, right? That's just that's you and showing who you are and people connecting with you.
Right.
And yeah, he got a little embarrassed on that. I saw him turn a little red.
I got a little bit. I got to turn my light on so it doesn't. I forgot to turn my light on. Okay. So
one of the powerful things about social media is that authenticity, especially for younger generations, where they're like, they were raised in a world that was so noisy. Authenticity is king. Like if you see something that looks authentic, if you can trust it, well, then it ripples into all these other decisions you make around the company. And that's how you can really start to make those kind of random moments, as long as they feel authentic, drive your preference. And as one analyst said, one researcher said that like any purchase decision above the size of a toaster is actually irrational, but it is predictable. And that's the power of marketing, is that you can do that predictably irrational thing and just start to clean the clock of the competition that's just going, oh, what is the feature? And they're missing out on the opportunity to kind of get somebody to go, I like this guy over here. Yeah. That's what I do business with.
Well, here's what I'm going to say.
But that's the hardest part, right, Misha?
I got to challenge you, Kyle. Listen, I totally get the intentionality of it. You got to think through these things. But doesn't even just showing your sales team culture, doesn't that eventually lead to sales? Doesn't that eventually lead to an employee that says, I want to work there? Like all of these things go together to bring an emotional connection to your company and trust that people go, yeah, I like those people. I want to work with them. So it might not be directly from sales, but it's got to play a factor. It's got to be something that goes, yep, that moves you in the right direction. Go ahead.
But how do you show that? How do you show that to your bosses? That like, hey, this funny sales video we did led to X, Y, and Z for this customer acquisition. That's the hardest part.
2 words. Steve Cox. Go follow Steve Cox.
Well, that's all you got to do is enter any of your boardrooms and go Steve Cox, Mike Cox, I'm out of here.
Because then they'll look
I'm hitting the golf course with Trey. We're going to do a couple swings.
Winning. Listen, I'm telling you.
But that's one company. Think of all the companies that create content and stuff like that. You can say these one success stories, but you don't. You only look at the big ones. You're looking at Gary. You're looking at all these dumb guys who like sit there and live this. They're not real. They aren't doing what you, myself, all of us actually would want to do. So how do you go to your CEO who isn't bought into this stuff, who doesn't really understand social, who thinks of it as their 12-year-old daughter is doing TikTok dances, and tell them, no. What we're doing is actually going to give us customers. And how do you do it in a way that understands it? I mean, you got to speak their language. That is what sucks about social media, is that unfortunately all your VPs and your presidents and your C-suite, they have children that are using these platforms. And you're trying to say, no, this is a very important platform for us to spend money and do stuff on. And how do you explain that? If I knew how to do that, I'd be making a hell of a lot more money and I would still be as pretty as I am. But other than that,
I think here's my thoughts on that, Cox. I literally just talked about this exact scenario at the panel I was on. I feel like as an employee, like, because that corporate responsibility that's out there, if you're worried about one of your employees going off the rails on social media, you hired the wrong person. But B, give them an opportunity, give them a runway to prove it, because the ROI does take a lot of time. But I think after you show up with that, everybody's opinions change when they realize that there's money to be made. The first customer that responds off of that, and they're like, hey, I want to sit down and talk to you, it opens up the floodgates for it. So I get the resistance, of course I do, but I think that it is a new way to leverage your sales force to market your company 24/7. I know you're just chomping at the bit to say something here, Kyle. I can see you fucking over there, but I just think it's just something else to add into your arsenal, because as a person, I can only make a certain amount of cold calls in a day, but I can post something and get 20, 30, 40, 50,000 views. And that exposure is what it's all about. It's not like a legitimate ROI. It's not. I don't ever think social media is going to be a line item execution close rate on it, because to me, it's the brand awareness of it, of the fact that when I do reach out to them through cold calls, which I still think is the most effective way to sell, they know who I am at that point, because otherwise I'm just another number calling.
Hell, Chris, how many people have reached out to you for business because of what you've done that didn't when you were a freight broker, or didn't when you were calling on jobs or whatever?
Kyle, case in point, I've had more shippers reach out to me not brokering freight than I ever did brokering freight. And then furthermore, with my business, when I first started doing the cold email outreach, trying to get people on the phone, not one person responded to my email, except for founders of businesses who said, hey, keep pushing forward. I don't need your shit, but just keep up the hustle. Until my videos were out there long enough to like, hey, I saw your shit. Looks like I forgot to reply to your email, or, hey, I'm going to reply to your email now. Again, I think it's the long-term ROI of it. It's not and here's the problem with transportation. There are shippers out there that add you to a lead list right away. So people think that there's a one-call conversion. That has never worked. They're a prospect until they pay you. So I think like looking at it from the entirety of the sales cycle, it's a process. But the thing is the ROI is great because it's fucking free to post.
Yeah, and I don't get it twisted. I am 100% all social
Sorry,
media, all that stuff. I honestly, Chris, I use you as an example when I talk about what people should be doing, like creating yourself as an influencer. The fact that you're getting calls, like I tell people all this time, why was I doing podcast at Freight Plus? Was because I said Chris Jolly says he gets more people calling to do work with him now that he's just focused on creating content than when he was actually doing the job. Like what you do is the exact case. And sorry, I quoted you on your own self. That's weird, right? But like you are 100% right. Like that is the way to do this. Like what you did is the best thing. It takes a shit ton of work, right? That's the thing. It sucks to do. It's hard. You got to be dedicated, and it ain't straight line. It ain't just going to be you keep doing it. It's going to make sense. It is so many pitfalls where you're like, oh man, this is nothing. No one cares about this. Why am I doing this crap?
And it's like there's three big things that drive against this. Is one, people want the world to make sense and be rational. And the more you get like really creative social stuff, you realize it's not rational. It's predictably irrational, and it's not something you can control, and it's really hard to do. And then two is that like people don't want to face that. They don't want to face that. But two is that recency bias and like basically the resource heuristic, where like if you see something all the time, like you think it's really easy and you think it's everywhere. And so like somebody who sees Chris Jolly and they see, oh, that's easy. He's just talking on the screen. And those of us who've seen how hard he's worked on it, how long it's taken, and how consistently he has to be over an extended period of time to cut through the noise and get that affinity, it's not true. And then the third and final thing is just kind of like how complicated it all is, and how like it and like I've done websites where like it's blown people away, and I've like changed the trajectory of a major corporation. And then a new CMO comes in like, oh, this is easy. And they hire somebody else and spend 3 times as much because it's like, oh, if we go with the big agency, and they tank their sales and they can't figure out why. And I'm telling them, and they're like, no, that doesn't make sense. That's too complicated.
Hey, do we agree with Diana's assessment here, by the way, that Chris is hella passionate?
Hella passionate.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana.
Diana, can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that.
I will can I just throw in real fast, just so everyone knows, I've been going just as long as Chris Jolly here, and we're finally to that point that I'm getting people that have seen our name out there because we've been pushing on all these different platforms. And it's just honesty. That's our biggest thing. We're just authentic, and we just put out who we are and what we do.
Yes, free shipping.
Yes,
everybody.
Well, and I think there's two pieces that kind of tie it all together. So like I was on the panel with Chris Jolly that he was referencing too. And this is because the whole thing was like, what are your tips? Well, I think there's two things: know your audience and understand your purpose. And it bridges all those things together. So know your audience, not just collectively, but on each channel that you're going to market for. And then also, what is your purpose? Is it just to be authentic and show your work culture, because that is extremely important? Or are you trying to do the lead generation stuff and all that? Or is it a mix of both? And if you constantly keep those two things in your mind, then that will keep you on track. And I think a lot of times people don't have an idea of what they want to do, and that's where you just get the collection of just weird stuff all over the place, and sometimes it hits and it won't. So,
and also that's not easy. Like, don't, even if you know
Right.
those two things, it's gonna change. It's gonna flip
can't hear
up.
Trey.
This is we can't hear Trey or me.
I was muted.
Oh.
I was saying hi to Nick Rumor, everybody, because he's coming to us from England, come back from church. But Kyle, go right ahead, buddy. Sorry about that.
I think one of the problems everyone has is A, instant gratification, and B, they think that, like, I hear just do these two things and it's going to stay easy, but it doesn't. Like, it is always a challenge. You're always fighting. Jolly can
arms
do
race.
it. All of us can do it. You're always going to be working. You're going to question yourself 24/7. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Is this content actually what helps me achieve my goal and what I set out as my goal? Like, you're always going to be thinking that way. And it's just kind of it's our plight as marketers, even though most of us are logistics on here. So
yeah,
sorry for complaining about my job.
No. I wrote an article about this, and I literally laid all of it out there. Essentially, all you guys are just saying that it's not fucking easy, but what gets easy is when you stop paying attention to the likes, because once you start creating content that isn't self-fulfilling and it's education based, it makes it easier because it's about who else can benefit from it, as opposed to how fucking vain can I be and think that, oh, 1,000 people didn't like my shit. Once that mindset shifted, that's when, like, ironically, that's when my trajectory I felt really started to take off, is because I stopped paying attention to the downloads on my podcast. I stopped paying attention to that shit. Like, yeah, I noticed them, but it doesn't deter me or make me think twice about if I'm going to post tomorrow or not. And I think, like, I know, like, the word authenticity is thrown around there a lot and stuff, but it is literally as easy as just being yourself. If you say fuck, say fuck. Okay. Like don't try and curb it in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's where people get lost, is because they're always trying to find the perfect thing to say, and it doesn't exist. Like, your perspective is what is important, because we all retain and receive information differently. We all have different viewpoints, but talk about them. Who fucking cares? Like, I mean, I respect the fact that we live somewhere where we can openly talk about this shit.
Yeah.
The only problem is if you're working for a company, right? And like the wrong person.
Is it your problem or the company's problem? I think
it's the company's problem, but a lot of times, like, hey, I ain't out for myself. I'm working for a company. If I say the wrong thing, like, sure, I might have brought in clients, but if I said the wrong thing and pissed off the wrong client, next thing you know, you're like, oh, what did I do to myself? Which is always kind of that fine line you want.
All right, everybody. Hey, listen, we got a full quorum today. We got another person in the green room. Everybody give it up for my good friend and working with our sponsor, Green Screens. Give it up for Kevin Coombs, y'all.
God. And music now. We haven't been here for
We got to give it out to the Freight Sensei. I love this song.
Everything. I love it, man.
Hey, listen, that's the Freight Sensei's walk-up song, and I love it. It's one of my favorite songs on the show. So
he's G.
What's up, brother? How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Sorry, I was actually going to come on earlier, but I was on calls doing my job.
You see that logo in the lower right-hand corner, my friend? See the old Green Screens logo in the lower right-hand corner there?
I like it.
So excited, man. I'm pumped for what you guys are doing. Had a great conference at TIA. Had a chance to meet with a ton of people. So that was great. What are your quick takes on the TIA show real quick?
TIA was awesome, man. I think it was good to get back out there, see everybody again, right? Get back in person. I think I was, the reference I've been using with people is like, I think everybody was kind of a caged dog the last few years, right? No, ready to get out there and mix it up again. So
no doubt.
And TIA is a cool conference because it's like, if you go every year and you see the same people over and over, you build those relationships. And then when COVID hit and you didn't have that for 3 years, you're just like, I miss my friends.
Yeah. There were
I really just want to get together again.
There were a lot of new people shares. It was pretty cool. So Kevin, we're talking about sales and marketing. We're in the middle of a poll. This has been a great conversation. We're almost at 50 minutes and we've been on one topic the whole time. I mean, this has been intense today. We're not even halfway through the poll. It's crazy. All right. So let's talk about question 3 real quick. What types of content did your company use to market? So 6 people website, 6 case studies. By the way, I'm just going to say, I think case studies have become probably my favorite marketing tool for salespeople because it is your customers selling your product, and who better to sell your product than the people who use it every day. I mean, the thing I learned at Lean when I was there working with those guys is they're really good about creating events where their prospects and their customers come together and just hang out. And they're not even like trying to accomplish anything beyond that because they know that their customers are going to talk to their prospects. They're going to ask questions. And they're going to sell it for them. And then it's like, it's easy. And so a case study is like a mini portion of that. That's probably my favorite form of marketing right now. I just had to throw it out there. 4 of you doing blogs, 4 podcasts. More companies are starting to do podcasts, which I think is really cool. 5 email campaigns, 4 videos, and then there's nobody else in other. What are some of your favorite forms of content when it comes to marketing? What do you guys feel like is just, you love to do it, but you also feel like it hits hard?
SEO optimized content can just kill her. You can just David the Goliath all day long, because ultimately it's just your writer against their writer. And if you've got good writers, thank God my mom was a journalist when she was younger, so I've got some skills there. But it's amazing how much you can just clean the clocks of big companies with SEO.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting, like when I think about bringing team members on with my company, the number one skill that I'm looking for is a good writer. Because to me, that's somebody who can think, who can process information, who can describe things. They're a teacher by nature. Like that to me, that's one of the best skills possible. And especially when it comes to marketing and even sales and operations, I think writing is like one of the best skills possible, especially this day and age where kids don't even write anymore. It's very rare that they actually do writing. So what else? Who else?
Rare.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of writing really quick, and I'm sorry to take some tangent, the amount of times that I see THRU on a resume for through, it just blows my mind. And I'm like, guys, come on now. We can lock this up here a little bit.
Wrong.
Yeah.
You just respond back and be like, that's not how you spell it.
Some of us were Florida educated. We got to calm down. Like, not all of us went to these schools that taught grammar. All right. I've been alligator. How many you can do that?
Diana, thanks for your comment. Thanks for watching today. I agree with her last sentence there. You cannot beat the reach and influence that social media has. Thanks to our good friend Chris Jolly, who was on the show today for a good portion of the show. It was great to see him and chat as well about that. All right, we got one more question on the poll. I can't believe that it's going to take us an hour basically to get through this. Question number 4 is, why don't transportation companies invest more into marketing? 1 of you put lack of funds, 5, lack of knowledge, skills, and 4, lack of priority. Man, I don't think it's for lack of money, especially right now when companies are really making good money. I think it probably does fall on that, either lack of priority or lack of knowledge and skills. And I'd probably even sway a little bit more towards lack of priority. The reason they don't have the knowledge and skills is because they're not prioritizing hiring people that have those skills. So I would even go back to that. Like, to me, it's just all about priority. But you think about somebody like, green screens, Kevin, what you guys are doing, you're still in startup mode. But yet you guys are now really pouring resources into marketing and different types of activities to sponsor shows, to sponsor different things out there. Why is marketing so critical as an early startup, and why should that be the case for people who have been doing marketing for a long time? Kevin, jump in on that.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things with our industry that's really interesting around like marketing and sales is I think the knowledge skills thing is one thing, but not so much as like, okay, well, there's only so many avenues of marketing, right? We can put it on social media, we can do email blasts, we can do stuff on the website, right? The SEO stuff, whatever. But I think messaging is very hard for people in our industry when you talk about like differentiation and your service offering, your product offering, what have you. I think that's why it's such an important thing for us personally as a tech company and what we're doing, the things that we're trying to do with like pricing and specifically like truckload pricing and kind of differentiate ourselves from what exists in the market today. But I think just in general with transportation, I think that's the hard thing for a lot of logistics companies, right? There's some good ones I've seen recently with some of the growing brokerages out there around like, their service offerings or actually, a funny one is like Steve Cox at Steam Logistics and everything he does around the no non-competes and being kind of open and honest with their approach and being candid. And Chris was just talking about this earlier, right? Like run with your message and your brand and who you are and be transparent with people and your image that you want to present to people. I think that's so important. And like Steve's not selling, like Steam and Steve aren't selling their services from a freight perspective, but they are selling their image, right? They're like, we're not going to go out and like attack employees that leave us and try to stop them from working in the industry anymore, right? And that like builds their brand as a trustworthy resource. And so I think from a marketing standpoint, it's just as important to help people understand who you are as a company, like your values, and that builds that rapport, right, with customers and what have you. Like, I want to work with that guy. He seems like a good guy, he's not going to go out and wrap up a bunch of employees in tort after they leave the company and try to destroy their lives, right? Like that might be a guy that moves my freight well also. But
there's something valuable about selling your image like that, because again, I just think it comes back to that's a part of the whole process of selling your company for employees, future employees, but also for, prospects of prospective clients as well. So I think it kind of all goes into that. And it's good to see you guys doing that as well, and the stuff you're doing over there. Okay, everybody, listen, we've got we're almost done with the show. We only have 5 minutes left. We're gonna do a very quick version of This Week in Pictures. A lot of fun stuff to show you. Hopefully it all works. Let me see if it's actually going to show anything. Nope. That's not good. Okay. Well, maybe I'll just do this. Maybe I'll share my machine. Hey, shut up. Let me see if I can just share my screen. Maybe this will work. I'll just share the whole dadgum screen. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I don't know.
It wouldn't be authentic if there wasn't technical difficulties, right?
No, it wouldn't be authentic. Okay, let's see it. Let's see if this shows anything here. Wait, where? Oh, I can't do it. Okay, dang it. It's not going to work, folks. Why is that? I was able to share the other one. Why can't I share this one? Oh, this is killer. This is killing me. Okay, I will share this. All right, so let's do this instead. So instead of that, I'm going to show you guys.
You want somebody else to try to see if they can share it? See if it's just a local.
Maybe.
Kyle, could you help out with this?
IT.
Okay. So we're going to try to share this. So this was at
email it to Kyle, and then he'll hold up a.
Here we go. You guys ready for this?
I
I can't show this either. Dadgummit. Okay. All right. I'm just
Trey, just do it with interpretive dance. Just
Trey, have you tried closing out and starting it up again?
You can play charades. You could do. Can you act it?
Whoa, that.
Oh, that's copyright, Trey. We can't do that. Cut it.
So I'm so ticked off about this because I can't believe I can't share this. Okay, when we were at TIA, those that were TIA, you'll know this. There was a guy there who, okay, I'm gonna get this done. This is gonna happen. Nobody leave. All right, hang on. Here we go. Where is that at? Oh, come on.
I mean, we have the Top Gun reference, so you know.
Jen, this is exactly how this all works out. Like this is the usual Trey at the end of the show type of banter. So you're just enjoying the real stuff right now.
Good commentary.
It's just I'm so frustrated. It's just not working today.
Are you on the latest edition of Chrome?
I don't know.
Are you plugged in or using Wi-Fi?
Have you tried to clear your cache?
Yeah. Are you accepting cookies right now or not?
I hate everyone.
Poor Trey just getting roasted.
I hate everyone.
You should try the basement. I hear you can have plenty of room to do burpees down there.
Okay, forget it. Listen, there was a Top Gun lookalike, a Tom Cruise lookalike that was so good. It's going to be back next week. I'm going to figure this out for next week. It was so good. They had a guy come to a booth, and he was like, I mean, I'm so mad I can't show that to you guys.
Oh anyway, yeah, I was standing next to him.
It was pretty good. Yeah,
it was impressive. Like you guys would be just be impressed right now.
Is that the same guy that also uses the AI app that kind of overlays his face, but he already looks like him, but he even.
This guy's legit. No, this guy's real. He's from Canada. He did not know he looked like Tom Cruise until he came to America for school because he'd never seen the movie Top Gun and didn't really follow Tom Cruise. And I'm like, no one in your life said you look like Tom Cruise. Like it is uncanny. I'm going to send it out there somehow. I'll put it on social media. I was hoping it would be for this time, but whatever. Shut up, everybody.All right, listen.
This Week in Pictures, as described by Trey Griggs.
I know. Just here's a picture of my daughters in their Colombian jerseys. Here's a picture of, we're going to mix all that today. All right, everybody, listen, we're going to go ahead and end the show. First of all, Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the show today. So excited for the TMSA event. If you haven't heard about the event and you want to sign up, make sure that you go and do that. Registration is open. It's in Orlando. It's going to be great. Go to events.tmsatoday.org. So again, thank you so much for being on the show with this crazy street crew. It was a lot of fun. Hope you had a good time, Jennifer.
This was awesome.
Your boys coming. I can help you guys fight any alligator situation you have. So we're safe there.
Kyle's got he's got the 411 on alligators in Florida. There's no doubt about that. And then also just a shout out to our sponsors of the show, to greenscreens.ai and our good friend Kevin Coombs, who has come on today. Very excited about that. Go check those guys out. Tell them Trey sent you. Go to greenscreens.ai to learn more and get started. Also to our friends over at Taft's. Very excited about that. They're in your backyard, Kevin. Taft's right there in Olathe, Kansas. I know. Great guys over there. Golfers. So go talk to those guys as well. Very excited about that. I know. Very excited. And things keep growing here. Next week, we had a great show, episode 103. We're moving right along. And that's going to be with our friend Kyle Lintner, who is now with Breaker and doing some great things over there. He's going to talk a little about the tech that they're working on. Very excited to have him on the show. And until next time, everybody, have a fabulous weekend. And we will see you next time for the Word on the Street, powered by Beta Consulting Group. Peace. See you guys.
Happy Easter, everyone. Have a good weekend.